Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Pretty all right.
All right.
Brothers are passed out.
Yeah. I just put in the chat the worksheet for today. And you can get started on the warm-up if you want while we wait for everyone. And it's T-shirt Tuesday, so we'll see what everybody has going on. Good morning. Amanda, did you wear a T-shirt to share? No. All right, Aaron, Val, Malachi, AJ, do any of you have shirts to share? I have to buy more shirts, I've determined.
Sadly not. All this is just a white plain t-shirt.
Nice. All right, I'm going to put it in the chat again. Amanda and Malachi maybe weren't here when I gave this. This is our worksheet for today. So, and there's a warm-up on it that you can try. and then we'll go over it in a couple minutes. Good morning, Angelina. I just put the worksheet in the chat, and there's a warm-up on it that you can try. When you have an answer, just type it to me in the chat. It's going to seem real high, by the way, when you get your answer. Great job, Malachi. Perfect. Ashley, we're doing that warm-up that's on the screen, and I just put the doc in the chat for you. So far I got Malachi's, and it's correct. I didn't get anybody else's. Okay, if you look at your screen, can you see my screen I'm sharing? Yes? So I put the formula on that slide. So all you have to do is plug into the formula. gonna be a long day if I don't get some answers or you start asking some questions. So I just responded to you, AJ and Aaron. Angelina, Val, Amanda, Ashley, haven't heard from you. Good morning, Yesenia. Yesenia, we are working on the warm-up problem you see on your screen, and then I will also put the worksheet in the chat. Good job, Aaron. All right, so many people are making the same mistakes. So let's go over this one. Let's read through this and see if we can make sense of it. Carlos takes this textbook to a pawn shop. Do pawn shops give you a good interest rate, do you think, that they charge you? No, they do not. There's actually laws now about pawn shops and what's the highest interest rate they can charge you. So, so he borrows some money. He gets $40. So what is that $40? What letter is that?
It's the principal.
Very nice. It's the principal. It's the amount that he gets to start. Then he has to pay back the $40 and a $20 fee. So what's the $20 fee? Ashley, what do you think the $20 fee is?
Is that the I?
Very nice. It's the interest you're being charged. Absolutely. Now, this is the tricky one. It says you have to pay it back in 3 months. So we know that that's time, but if you're not careful, you put in 3 for time, and then that's going to mess you up. Time has to be measured in years. So how many months are in a year? There's 12. So it's 3/12 or 0.25. So that's where most people went wrong. So when you plug it into this formula, you get 20 over 40 times 0.25. And if you do that on Desmos calculator, let's go back to Desmos Scientific, and let's do, what was it, 20? I can't remember what the first number was. Oh, yep, 20 divided by 40 times 25, 0.25. And you get an answer of 2. But if it wants it in a percent, what do we have to do with that 2? What is 2 as a percent? AJ, what'd you get if you change 2 to a percent?
What, over 100, I think?
If you change 2 to a percent, what did you say?
Put it over a whole, I think.
No, you multiply it by 100.
Yeah,
So what do you get when you multiply 2 by 100?
200.
Yeah. So our answer here is you're being charged, or Carlos is being charged, a 200% interest rate. Nice, huh? Yeah, he's not getting a good deal. So you have to be careful at pawn shops and look at the interest rate you're being charged. At most pawn shops, I think it's pawn shops and those cash places, you know, like Get Cash Now kind of things, the max they can charge you is a 35% interest rate. But still, 35% is ridiculously high. Okay. All right. So when you were having trouble on that, what were you doing wrong? Was it just the time they were doing wrong? Or were you having trouble identifying the principal and the interest? Or the formula you needed to use?
For me, what I had a hard time was when I got to, I didn't know we had to multiply it by 100, so I thought it was automatically wrong.
Yeah, and so because it's a weird
So
number, it's really, really high, right? Normally when we get a percent, we would get a number like something like 0.06 or something, right? And then we would say, oh, that's 6%. So that 2 was a little odd that it was so high. Okay, speaking of which, let's talk about PF4 that you just did last night. I got some emails from people, Olivia, and then some people in my other class that were just struggling getting the right answer. Like they're like, I'm using the right formula. I think I'm plugging in everything right, and something's still going wrong, right? And for most people, it's that time piece where you were getting it wrong. And there was a little hint that said, don't round anywhere. So for example, I'm trying to remember, Olivia had one that was like in days, right? It was like 1,161 days. So when we put in time in her calculator, you know, in the Desmos calculator, we had to put 1,161 divided by 365, right?
It also had that fraction percent too, like with the whole number and a fraction, and that was what I got stuck on.
Yeah, so if it said like 6 3/8%, right? So if it was 6 3/8%, you had to know how to change that to a decimal. Yeah. So I'm going to put you in breakout rooms right now, just a couple, and I want you to discuss what happened in PF4, right? What do you know and what are you still having trouble with? And I'm going to pop in and visit you guys. Okay. So, and you can pull up your more homework if you want. And, you know, so when I come in, I can help you look at one that you tried, but you just could not get right. Okay. So, let me put you in a couple rooms and then I'll come by and see you. And if you don't have anything to talk about, you can talk about the new worksheet that I just gave you. We're going to do a couple PF4 problems before we move on to PF5. And then I put the formula sheet back in the chat for you in case you don't have it handy. You know, you could pull it up again so you have those formulas. I think most of us were discussing the hardest part is figuring out where each part goes and then, of course, entering it into more correctly, right? Not rounding it beforehand and those kind of things. So, like I said, the formula sheet is in the chat. Let's look at this problem. So it says you invest $9,600 in a savings account that pays 3.6% simple interest. How long will it take for this investment to double in value? Did anyone have a problem like this on more that they got stuck on? Yeah, okay. So, and it says round your answer to the nearest 10th of a year. So this is a problem, I can't remember who it was, but maybe it was Ashley that said the problems with time are having, you know, those are the ones you're having trouble with. So this is a time problem. And how I know that is because it says, how long will it take? So that must be what I'm looking for is time. Okay. So now if you go to your formula sheet, and you look for the time formula, it's this one at the top that says T equals A minus P divided by PR. Okay. So now we need to identify those other pieces. So I'll write down that formula. T equals A minus P divided by P times R. So the time is what we're solving for. That's what we don't know. What is the principal in this problem?
$9,600.
$9,600. Does everybody see where that's from? Okay. So, Jenday, what's that 3.6%? What variable is that?
The interest.
The what?
The interest.
Okay, so which letter is it in my formula?
Oh.
BR?
The R?
Yeah, it's the R. Very good. The R is, so anytime it's a percent, it's going to be the R because that's the rate. So 3.6%, which, who can change that to a decimal? Ashley, what is 3.6 as a decimal?
0.036.
Very nice, 0.036. And it's important that you do that correctly. Otherwise, your problem will be all wrong, right? Now, so we're looking for T. We identified P and we identified R. The only thing we didn't identify was A. And this time it's a little bit tricky. So remember, A represents the amount in the account, okay? The total amount, including the principal and the interest. So what would A be in this case, in this problem? Everybody get it ready in the chat, what you think A is. Get it ready in the chat. Don't hit enter yet. Read the problem carefully. So remember, A is going to be the total amount, including the principal and the interest. And just, if you don't know, just guess. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But that's how I know you're listening and participating. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. All right, I got a lot of people giving me the answer of $19,200. Where did you get that value from, AJ?
I'm assuming the double in value?
Yeah, it says here in this problem, how long till the investment doubles in value? So doubles in value means you have twice as much money as you had. So you could do 9,600 times 2, or you could do 9,600 plus 9,600. And that would give you that $19,200. Does that make sense? So that, see, that number's not given to you in the problem. You had to figure it out, right? Okay, so now you have all the numbers for this formula. So now it's just calculator button pushing. So push those calculator buttons in this formula and then get your answer ready in the chat. Don't hit enter yet. Okay, you got it ready in the chat? Let's hit enter in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, now what did the directions say? Round to the nearest what? 10th of a year. So it's 27.8. Very nice. And that's what's really frustrating. If you're doing your more homework and you work all this out finally, and then you put in 27.78 and it marks you wrong, right? Then you're really frustrated. You think you have the whole thing wrong. And really all you have wrong is the rounding. Okay. All right. So is that a little bit better? Okay, now number 6 is one like our warm-up that we did. So number 6 you should be able to do. So try number 6. When you have an answer, privately chat me that answer. Okay, so on number 6, read through it carefully and then privately chat me the answer. It's not on your worksheet, it's just on the screen. Okay, because we're talking about PF4 because it seemed like people were still confused by that. Aaron, great. Good job. Olivia, you're so close. I think you had a decimal error. Malachi, good job. AJ, I think you had a decimal issue. Ashley, I'm not sure where you got some of those. Like, I'm not sure what you were plugging in. You can show me what you were plugging in if you want. Valerie, yes. Okay, so let's take a look at this one and see. Good job, Amanda. Good job, Olivia. Did you figure it out? All right, it gets a little annoying. So this problem, we're looking for the rate. How do I know? It's because it says what simple interest rate is she being charged? So I'm going to use that formula R equals I over P times T. So I have to identify all these things. What is the principal in this problem? Ashley, what's the principal amount in this problem? Ashley, can you hear me? All right, somebody else tell me what the principal is in this problem.
Is it 1,000?
It is 1,000, and you know that because it says she is given $1,000. Then the other thing we need is the interest and we need the time. So Ashley, there you are. What's the interest in this problem?
Is it 200?
It is 200. I don't know why that
Oh,
zero
okay.
wasn't there. So it's 200. So the principal is 1,000 because it says she was given $1,000. And then it says she has to pay back the 1,000 plus a $200 fee. So the $200 fee is the interest she's being charged. Now for the time, it says 6 months. So do I put in 6 there? No. Why do I not put in 6? Someone tell me.
Because it's in months, not years.
Very nice. So you would have to put in 6 over 12 or 0.5 because it's half a year. And so when you do that, you have 1,000 divided by 200 times 0.5. Does everybody see where they went wrong if they made a mistake on that? And so when you do that, you should get an answer of 40%. Yes? All right. Now, I spent a long time on that was really yesterday's stuff. But the reason I did it was because if you couldn't do yesterday's, you sure as heck can't do today's because today's doesn't get any easier. The nice thing is we're spending tomorrow on PF5 as well. So you should be okay. So you did your reading last night. You didn't do your mini lesson though. Does anyone know what compound interest means compared to simple interest?
Not really.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because this is the hard part. So here's the difference. So with simple interest, we just assume that once we earn the interest, we take that interest out. But in a standard bank account, what happens is they just add your interest to your balance, right? And if we just leave it in there, we don't take the interest out, they will put more interest on top, right, of what you had in the account plus your interest. So basically, they're compounding your interest. So you already have interest and you're getting interest on top of it. So that's the reinvestment of the interest, and that's what's called compounding. Okay. So for example, let's say you put your money in the bank, right? And it's earning a certain percent interest. If you don't take anything out of the bank at the end of whatever that year or whatever it is, then they're going to give you the interest in your bank account, and then they're going to give you new interest off your new balance, even if it was just a tiny bit more. So let's say you had $1,000 in your bank account, and at the end of the year, they gave you $3. So now you have $1,003, right? And it's compounded annually. As long as you leave that $3 in there, now your new interest is being calculated off your new principal, which is $1,003 instead of just $1,000. Okay. So that's how simple interest and compound interest are different. Now the formulas look pretty complicated, but you'll be okay with them because we can use Desmos for them. Here's the nice thing. We still have an A. It's still the balance in the account. We still have a T. It's still in years. We still have a P, which is the amount in the beginning. We still have an R. That's the interest rate. So the only new piece we have is the number of compounding periods in 1 year. So if it's only compounded annually, N is going to be 1. If it says quarterly, that means 4 times a year. So N would be 4. If it says monthly, then N would be 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And if it's compounded daily, then that's going to be 365. There is one extra way that we're not going to talk about that's compounded continuously, and that's a different formula, and we won't use that. So just so you know. But so this is what the formulas look like. Notice I have one formula for A equals and one formula for P equals. And then we just have this exponent that's N times T and N times T. So now I have a question for you. When do you think we should use the formula that says A equals, and when do you think we should use the formula that says P equals?
A, when you're trying to find like the total after the end of your compounding.
Very nice. And when would we use the P formula?
How much to put in?
Opposite.
Yeah, the opposite. When they don't tell you how much you put in initially, but they tell you how much you want to have at the end. Okay, so that's how you decide, should I use the A equals formula or should I use the P equals formula? So now you have a problem that looks like this. You deposit $300 in an account earning 5% interest, which by the way is amazing, compounded annually. How much will you have in the account in 10 years? So first of all, let's make sense of this. You deposit $300. So what is that $300? What letter is it?
P.
It's P, because that's what we start with. What is this 5%? What letter is that?
Right?
Very nice. So it's the R. R is 5%. And if I change it to a decimal, it's 0.05. Then it says, we have a new thing. It says compounded annually. So remember, our compounding is going to be our N. So if it's compounded annually, how many times a year is it being compounded?
1.
Just 1. So compounded annually, N equals 1. And then it says, how much will you have in the account in 10 years? So 10 years is what variable?
10. T.
T. Very nice. So now it says, how much will you have in the account in 10 years? So which formula am I going to use, Ashley? Am I going to use the A formula or the P formula?
It'd be the A.
Yep, because they already told us the principle. So we don't want a P equals formula. We want to know the A equals formula. So we're going to use A equals P times 1 plus R over N. And then it's raised to this power N times T. And you can do all of that in your Desmos calculator, but let's just make sure what you want to put in there. You want to do 300 times 1 plus 0.05 over N. And, oh, sorry, we know N is 1. And then 1 times 10. And even though you know 1 might not change it, it's a good idea for you to still put it in there. So, because when that N changes, you want to know how to do it. So I'm going to go to my Desmos formula, my Desmos calculator, sorry. And I'm going to do 300. I'm going to put a parentheses. I'm going to say 1 plus. My rate was 0.05. I'm going to say divided by 1. I'm going to arrow over and I'm going to end those parentheses. Now, this is the part you might not know how to do. To get that exponent, you want to use this button that says A to the B. Okay, that's what gets you in that exponent. And then you can put parentheses still, and you can say 1 times 10. Oops. And it tells you the answer right then. So it's $488, and if we round, it'll be 67 cents. So does everybody see how to do that on your calculator? Check with your calculators right now and make sure you can plug it in and get that answer. Everybody okay? So $488.67 is what they'll have in the account in 10 years. Okay. Now that might not seem like a whole lot, right? It might not seem like a whole lot, but you didn't put very much money in either, right? You only put in $300 and you got back an extra $188.67. Okay, and if you compare it to our simple interest formula, if we just did simple interest, we would take 300, right? Principal times 0.05 times 10, and that would only give us $150, right? If we did simple interest. So if we did simple interest, we would have 300 times 0.05 times 10, which means we would get $150 of interest. So at the end of 10 years, we would only have $450 compared to $488.67. Do you see how they're different formulas now? All right. Now, the more times I compound, the more money I will make, right? So that's the way it works. So now you try this second one. It says you deposit $2,100 in an account earning 2.5% interest compounded semi-annually. What does that mean? Semi-annually. Very nice, Malachi. 2 times a year. So how much will you have in the account after 7 years? Round to the nearest cent as always. When you have your answer, type it to me in the chat. AJ and Aaron, great job. Very nice, Valerie and Amanda. Good job. If you're still working, that's fine. If you have a question, type it to me in the chat. Very nice, Malachi. Yesenia, Olivia, do you have answers? Ashley, Angelina, Jen Day. Perfect. Perfect, Olivia. Good job. So Ashley, Angelina, Jen Day, Yesenia. I didn't get answers from you yet. Nope, you're using the PF5 formula. The same formula we just used on the problem before. Okay, so I'm going to show you. This is what you would put in your calculator. 2100 is the principal. So P is $2,100. R is 2.5% or 0.025. T is 7 and N is 2 because it says semi-annually. So you put in 2100 parentheses 1 plus 0.025 divided by 2 raised to the 2 times 7 power. Okay. Do you see where those numbers come from? We're using that formula that's PF5. Okay. So we're using the formula that says A equals P times 1 plus R over N to the N times T power. Okay, I'm going to put you back in your breakout rooms. You should be able to do for sure problems 3, 4, and 5, and then you could try 6 and 7. And then I'm going to come and visit you. So go into your breakout rooms and work on those. You have about 10 minutes. you can check your answer on that problem and see if you got it right on that first one. Hopefully you got past the first one, but if you didn't, hopefully you got at least there. Yay, Valerie, did you get that one right? Yay. Anyone else get that one right? That was number 3 on your worksheet. Olivia's saying yeah. Okay, so that was number 3. This is 4A. Did anyone get that one right? Oh, look, Olivia did. Excellent. And then 4B. Very nice. Good job, Malachi. Did anyone get further than number 4? Nice. Okay, so number 5. That's the answer to number 5. Oh, Olivia's shaking her head. Yeah. Amanda's shaking her head. Yeah, I like that. Malachi, good job. And then did anybody get to number 6? There's number 6. Okay, nice. And then here's number 7. Did anyone get them all correct? Valerie's like, well, maybe if you don't count that little mistake I made, right? That's fine. Okay, so these are all in the slides that I'll post after class. Take a look. Oh, sorry, question. Take a look at your homework. I just put a couple days ahead on here too, because I feel like sometimes you might not know what we have, even though it's in Canvas. So we have our PF5 more mini lesson due tonight. I think it's only 10 points. It should be pretty quick. And then you could start on your more practice that's due tomorrow night if you want, because then you have a reading quiz. And then on Thursday, you have your mini lesson. And then on Friday, you have your practice due. Okay. So good job. Keep reading carefully. I really like highlighting. I think you can tell, right, when I read, and then writing out my key. I think that's very helpful. So try those strategies if you're struggling. And you can always come see me. Remember, I have, what do I have? Someone tell me what I have. I have office hours today. Yeah, tonight instead of tomorrow night. So that's what I have. Office hours tonight instead of tomorrow night. Did I put the right exit ticket in the chat? I feel like I did. I'm clicking it. Did you guys try the exit ticket already? Yeah, okay. I know the exit ticket was still from PF4, but. All right, when you're done, I'll see you tomorrow. Yay, people are getting it right. I feel so good. Yay.